Hi, I'm Shireen Richter, Laughter and Happiness Professor, and welcome to the next Natura Happiness episode. Today we're going to be looking at mental habits of happiness, how we can change our mental habits so that we are able to bring more happiness, more resilience, and more energy into our lives and into our worlds. Developing resilience and being able to get through a day is not an easy thing by any measure, especially with what we're going through now. Part of the problem is what is normal. Our sense of normalcy has changed. What used to be normal doesn't exist anymore, and we're faced with a whole new reality. So how do we cope in that reality? Where do we fit into the world in this reality? And that's why so many of us are struggling, because we're trying to find our place. The next thing in terms of resilience is that usually when we go through a difficult time, when we go through a struggle or a challenge, there's usually an end goal. I know that I'm working so madly and I'm going to have a break in a month's time. It will be December and I'll have time off. I'm moving house and I'll move in 2 weeks' time, and then I'll be moved and that stress will be removed. But what we're living with right now has no end date, and it changes all the time. So we have to bring a new perception of what is normal and what is reality. And here's the amazing thing, is you choose your own reality. A very important mental habit to develop is to know that perception is reality. The way we perceive an experience, the way we perceive the world is what shows up as our reality. Take, for example, a get-together with some friends. There are a few of you, you're having dinner together, dinner finishes, and you all leave. Everybody takes a different story with what happened in that experience back with them. So what we need to be conscious of is changing the negative reality that we put into the picture. And remember, it's only our reality. And I'd like to share a social experiment that was done, which kind of gives it more clarity and helps you understand how this works in our everyday lives. A very ordinary, average individual went to New York, but they went with a camera crew. They went with photographers. They went with paparazzi around them, and they went with some people, fans, so to speak, asking for autographs, going, "Oh my goodness, please can I have your autograph?" making a big fuss of him. They went to Times Square, and they did this for a couple of minutes. After less than 10 minutes, there were almost 200 people surrounding this individual going, "Oh my goodness, that's, what's his name again? Yes, from that movie. Yes, that's it, that's him. Let's get a picture. Let's get an autograph." And he was just an average, ordinary individual. But he created a reality for himself that he was someone famous, that he was someone that needed to be noticed, that he was someone that wanted your attention. And guess what happened? These people gave it. So we have to look in life and realize that the way we see things and the way that we perceive things to be is what reflects back to us in our worlds. And if we're not liking what's showing up, we need to change our perception of that reality. So here's a thought. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. If you've had a bad experience, instead of focusing on having had a really bad day, instead of focusing on somebody that was rude or someone that cut you off in traffic or somebody that had an argument with you, we need to stop and we need to refocus and we need to change that thought process, because actually it's really not that bad. And if you don't pay attention to it, it doesn't really exist, because what exists is the story that we create in our minds. So in order to change our thought processes, which is very difficult, I believe that we have to make ourselves actually feel differently, and then we can work on the thoughts, because our mind, our bodies, and our brains are all connected, and our hearts represent our feelings. So when we are able to feel joy inside, we are able to feel a sense of peace inside. And these things happen, these events, getting stuck in traffic, being late, having a fight with someone, we are able to deal with them in a much more effective way. So how do we do that, you're going to ask? And I've got really simple tips and tricks to be able to show you exactly how to. But the simplest one I can come up with is motion creates emotion. And acting happy makes you feel happy. How does that work in our normal everyday lives? Just look at how you walk around most days. Shoulders down, head down, eyes down. We walk around like this. We don't walk around with a smile, putting our shoulders back, with a little skip in our step, walking around and greeting people with a big happy face. So what we need to do is we need to bring some movement. We need to act as if we're happy. And before you realize it, you suddenly will start to feel happy. So walk with a smile on your face, lift your shoulders back. When you see someone, greet them with a big hi, even though it feels fake, even though it doesn't feel real to you. Still take that practice and put it into motion. Some of the things that you can do in order to shift the way you're feeling is dance. Now, you're going to say, dancing, great. Where am I going to dance? So if you ask me, where do I dance in my garden. I put my headphones in, I go on the grass, and I dance in the garden. When I can't sleep at night sometimes, I go under the moonlight, and I put beautiful music on, and I dance. It's very easy to do these things. We just have the perception that people will think we are silly. People will think we are stupid. But in fact, it is these things that develop the resilience. And we don't need to look for all these fancy things outside of ourselves. Developing that strength comes from us by making a change in the way that we feel. So the first thing is we act happy, and that then changes the way we feel. Now, Amy Cuddy, who's a Harvard professor, did a lot of research about this, and she took photos of people who were going for job interviews, waiting for a therapist, waiting to see a doctor in a doctor's room. And if you have a look at generally how people hold their bodies, how people sit, they kind of have their shoulders down, they're looking into their phones, they're nervous, they're anxious, they're closing themselves and making them small. And what she said is that she found through her studies that if you open yourself, you stand in your power, doing something called a power pose. Stand with your hands on your hips. Stand with your hands in the air, doing things like that and walking for 2 minutes or walking briskly, swaying your arms up and down, creates a change in your chemical balance. So what does it do? It releases endorphins. It actually makes us feel more within our power, in ourselves. And once we are feeling that way, then it's much easier to change our perception of an event or to become more resilient. So when someone cuts us in the traffic off, what do? We go, it's okay, I don't mind. So what? I'll get there 2 minutes later. Maybe they were in a hurry. Who knows what they were going through today in their world? And just by those simple shifts, we are able to change the way we see the world. A very important thing that I've learned is to stop the rumination that goes on in our head. So often, what is rumination? It's all those thoughts. It's that story of the day when we get into bed at night and we're lying there in that quiet and we have to actually focus on what happened in the day or deal with our thoughts or our anger or our sadness or our fears. All the stuff of the day brings itself into the fore, and that's where depression sets in. Because we think, I should have done this differently, I wish this could have happened, why didn't it happen in that way? So to stop that from happening, we need to change the perception of our day, the reality of our day. And how do we do that? So I have a happiness journal. I'm going to share with you my secrets and my tricks that I use to change the story in my mind. Now, so that you do know, this trick that I'm going to share with you is not something I just felt like dreaming up. It is something that has really been scientifically proven to shift the way we think and to help us change the story in our minds. And I call it the Happy Magic Journal. Oh, there it is. It's a normal book, but I call it my magic book because it's the magic book that brings happiness. And what we do is every single night, before we go to sleep, we take our happy magic book and we write 3 good things that happened to us in the day. So as opposed to having a gratitude journal where you write, I'm happy for my dog, my cat, my house, my food, my sister, my auntie, my uncle, those kind of things we are grateful for, but when we say it in that way, it doesn't really trigger a feeling within us. It doesn't really change the story that we have in our minds. And gratitude is important. So we combine the gratitude with 3 good things. Every night, you take your book, you think back on your day, and you write 3 good things that happened to you. And if nothing good happened in the entire day, that's okay, because you can still find good in the bad. So how does that actually work? Well, I had a fight with my spouse. I had an argument with my boss. I had road rage because I was stuck in the traffic. How do we change that into something good? Here's how we do it. What good came from that? What did I learn? And what can I take away from that situation to help me change my story the next time? Okay, I had a fight with someone. That wasn't good. There was nothing positive in it. But maybe I learned that I need more patience. Maybe I learned that I need to listen more. Maybe I learned that I need to internalize stuff before I respond immediately. These are the things that we need to take away from our day. So when we think back on our day, we're not thinking, oh my goodness, I had a fight with this one, I got stuck in traffic, I was late, and all the bad. But we go, wow, I had an amazing day because I learned I need more patience. I learned that I actually need to stop and breathe a little bit in my day. And that is how we develop the resilience. It's by taking these tiny little action steps, reframing our day, stopping, and actually taking note of them. And then these things become a habit. The more often we do them, the more it becomes something that we do subconsciously. So when I go to sleep at night now, I don't always need my journal. I don't need my magic happy book. I can lie in bed and just think, thank you, what good happened in my day? And focus on that as a start. If we look at coronavirus and we look at the disease itself, coronavirus is a disease that affects our lungs. It affects our breathing. And if you look at our lives before corona and the way we were living in this world, everything was so frenetic and busy and rushed, and we had no time in our day to do anything, that I would find myself walking around saying, oh my gosh, I've got so much going on, I can't even breathe. Think about that. It's not a coincidence. Coronavirus came to teach us something, that we need to stop, we need to breathe, we need to reframe. When we're angry, when we're feeling depressed, when we're feeling sad, when we're not feeling resilient, when we're feeling like life is overwhelming and we can't function, we have to stop and breathe. And that will help us to reframe. So a breathing technique that I use is simply counting. It's as simple as that, and you can do it anywhere. Count to 4, hold for 4, and out for 4. And do that 5 or 6 times. And that in itself will take away the panic or the anxiety or the current fear that you're facing, and give yourself a moment to regroup and recalibrate. So let's do this. Sit comfortably, relax your shoulders, and breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, and out for 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. It kind of feels like you've just shifted a load, like you've just let something off your shoulders that was weighing you down. Another amazing trick for breathing is simply sigh. Sighing is a way of releasing. So take sighing into your day if that's what you need. And remember to always smile when you've finished the sigh, or smile while you're breathing, even if it feels fake. Because remember, the brain can't tell the difference. And when you're smiling, the brain goes, Shireen's happy. And it brings some happy hormones, magic happiness chemicals into your body. So go out into the world and build your resilience. Be happy, breathe, act happy, speak happy, put a little wiggle in your step, and build your resilience and reframe your reality.